everybody? For those of you who are joining in today, welcome to the Kids Program Solutions Thursday Live. All right, as usual, guys, after the video is done, we are going to be up on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube now, welcome to today's video where we're going to be discussing Unleashing Your Staff's True Potential, a guide to empowerment. For those of you who don't know, my name is Charlie. My wife and I run Kids Program Solutions. We scale up kids programs. So if you've got dance, cheer, ninja, martial arts, gymnastics, any of those types of modalities, we help programs just like you solve the problems that are preventing your growth. So if you're interested in increasing your impact, increasing your personal freedom, increasing the profit of your facility, we can help you with all three of those. And as usual, if you're not in our Facebook group, you guys should definitely come check us out there. We are live in that group. That's where this video is being recorded right now. So if you want to see it live and be able to comment on it and have all kinds of questions and all that kind of good stuff, make sure to join us on our Facebook Lives in our Facebook group. The link will be in the description on YouTube, so you guys can click that, join us over there, and get involved live, where I'll answer your questions at the end of the live as usual. Okay, cool. So as you guys know, we have been focusing on staff. It's been a spicy, fun time, great topic, one of my favorite things to talk about. And today we're going to continue into our Unleashing Your Staff's True Potential. We've got our next set of lives. I'm going to drop that next week. The calendar, you guys might have seen the post where in the past where I kind of list out the next upcoming lives. We've got some really good ones that we've been kind of putting together for you guys that some of them, hint, are going to go into our Staff Scaling Secrets portal. So you guys are going to get some snapshots of that stuff live, which then you can find it later in Staff Scaling Secrets. So if you miss it there, you can always go there to get it in our program. So today we're going to talk about Unleashing Your Staff's True Potential, a guide to empowerment. Now, for any of you who are having staff issues, this is going to be a great way to empower those staff so they feel like they are bought into what you've got going on in the business. So I'm going to give you guys 5 points today, 5 tactical pieces of information that you can take away and be successful in empowering your team so that they feel like you're there for their success and not the other way around. And that's really what you want. You want your team to feel like you as a leader are there to service them, because that gets them bought into what you've got going on. And bought in team members will always do more for the business, making your job as the leader a lot easier. Okay. All right. So first off, let's start by building a strong team culture. All right. So we want to define and communicate your gym's core values. Do not underestimate. In my book, 90 Days to Staff Heaven, I talk about this in terms of how gyms will build out core values and a mission statement, and then they stay in their business plan and they're never seen again, okay? You do not want to fall victim to that. Your core values should be core values, meaning everything you do should be guided by these values. If your staff don't know them, they should know them. They need to be reminded of them, because these are the operatus Miranda of the actual mission statement of the facility itself, right? So core values, for example, some of ours are like, don't sugarcoat it, right? So it's like anytime we're doing anything, we want to be clear in our communication. And if we don't like something, we want to be able to speak up with grace and, of course, with respect, but be clear about the fact that, hey, I don't think this is going to work, and here's why. Foster a sense of belonging and camaraderie. No one wants to work at a business where they feel like they don't belong on the team, and they don't feel like the team wants them there, right? And those are those two pieces. Is, do I fit into the team? Yes, great. Does the team feel like I fit into the team, right? And that's a big part of the leadership, is building that into your team, okay? So make sure you're fostering a sense of belonging and camaraderie, and that's done by speaking to identities of those people, meaning, hey, you know, Tommy's a great coach. He brings this value to the team. He brings this attitude to the team. He's a great member for that reason. We should all be thankful he's here, right? So that's kind of like building the camaraderie on the back half, and on the front half, identifying that that person belongs, and here's why. Encourage collaboration and knowledge sharing. We used to always say coaches steal best tactics from other coaches, right? And we would reinforce this of like, if you suck at being a fun coach, you should be stealing good tactics from the fun coaches to be a more fun coach. If you're not a good disciplined coach, you should be stealing tactics from the disciplinary coaches so that you can be a better disciplined coach, so on and so forth. So encourage collaboration, knowledge sharing. You don't want one person off on an island and be like, yeah, they're our best coach and we don't want to share the secrets. No, if they're your best coach, share those secrets with everybody else, okay? Implement regular team building activities. We encourage things like staff night, which is like once a month, doing a kind of a open gym, but just for your staff. And they can bring any of their friends. It's also a great recruiting ground for new staff. Okay, so things like that are going to be great team building activities. where it's a staff only kind of access to the facility, and then they get to have fun and dork around and, you know, do all the fun stuff that they want to do normally, but they can't because, you know, they're busy being professional and coaching and having a good time. Yeah, so like being dorks in the foam pit and stuff like that. Recognizing, okay, so let's move on, right? I know I'm moving fast, guys, but that's because I like to be respectful of your time, give you some good information, and as usual, it will be recorded, so if you need to go back and watch it later, there's always that. Okay, recognizing and utilizing individual strengths. So this kind of harkens back to a point that I made in my first slide here, which is foster a sense of belonging and camaraderie. So recognizing and utilizing individual strengths. So recognizing it helps build out that belonging, right? Like I belong because of these individual strengths that I bring. But utilizing them. You are going to have coaches who are better with some age groups than others. Try to steer those coaches to coaching primarily that age group if they're good with that. Like we had one coach who was like, oh, I love 3 to 5 year olds, which that's hard to find, I think. So it's like, well, thank goodness we have this coach. We're going to give them all the 3 to 5 year old classes because that is their preferred strength versus other coaches are like, hey, I prefer teenagers. Great, let's give them primarily teenager-based classes. So identify staff members' unique skills and talents. Utilize them. Assign roles and tasks based on individual strengths. Again, play to the strengths of your team. And I'll give you guys a little tip in terms of building camaraderie. Tell the team why you're doing that, right? So that they're identifying the strength as a component that they want and not the person being special, right? Like you don't want, for example, if you're putting one coach in charge of cleaning every single time and you never explain why, then your team's going to be disgruntled and be like, well, why am I not in charge of cleaning? But if I say, hey, Vanessa's in charge of cleaning because she has the best attention detail of any of you. And if any of you can be better than her, then we'll put you in charge of cleaning. It identifies the skill that you are putting a value on, and therefore they can build that skill as opposed to just saying Vanessa's in charge, end of story. And then they go, well, what's so special about Vanessa? Encourage collaboration and knowledge sharing. Again, we're going to hammer that home there to build up that point, right? That's how you build camaraderie, is just share good knowledge. Promote an environment of mutual support, right? Not like individual support, like your leaders, your sub-leaders underneath you, right? You're the leader, ideally in the business. If not, it's fine. If you have your program director being the leader, they're the leader. But you need to promote an environment of mutual support where you're supporting leadership even when you disagree with the leadership. Right? That's really, really important, where if you've placed someone in charge, it really looks good when you are following the plan that they've put together because you believe in leadership and unity over division and doing your own thing because, well, I don't think this is a good plan. Well, maybe it isn't a good plan, but if you execute it as a team, it will be a completed plan, and that's more important. All right? So promote an environment of mutual support, respect your leaders, don't usurp your authority. And if you see others doing it, destroy that division and say, look, we need to support our leaders and go forward with this for right now. Okay. And if the leader continues messing up, you can address it. Okay. Empower decision-making and autonomy. You have people who are intelligent on your team, even a 19-year-old, 18-year-old, 17-year-old. These people need to be respected in terms of their ability to make decisions and being autonomous. And the more you respect that, the more they will become better decision makers and autonomous, and therefore less work you have to do in terms of managing them. So that's the irony of micromanagers, is they micromanage people because they want people to get tasks done, ideally, right? So they think by micromanaging it, make sure all the tasks are done. But it's actually the opposite effect. If you want your people to do stuff and do it frequently, you need to give them the space to make the decision, inform them that you are trusting them to make that decision, and allow their autonomy to take over and make those decisions on their own. So grant employees decision-making authority. Should this be cleaned? Yes or no? You know the answer. Promote a sense of ownership and responsibility. Hey, this is your space. Make sure your space is representative of what you want people to think of you. See how I just gave them ownership and responsibility? Your space is reflective of what people think of you and what you think of yourself. So if your space is dirty, then people are going to think you're dirty and they're not going to have respect for that, right? Because who wants to work in a dirty space, much less with a dirty coach, right? So provide that connection between ownership and responsibility and do it through autonomy. Provide tips on effective delegation. I'm a big fan of telling your team why you're making the decisions you're making. They don't have to agree with them, okay? Because maybe they don't have all the data or maybe they don't have the perspective you have. But nonetheless, you should respect the intelligence of your team and tell them why you're making decisions, on how you delegate, on how you make decisions, so on and so forth. And then that helps them be better at doing the same thing in their own life, in their own section of the business. Trust staff to deliver results. Or, as another mentor used to always say, give your people the room to fail. Give your people the room to fail. Trust your staff to deliver results. If they don't, it's not the end of the world, right? If you have a window that was supposed to be cleaned and it wasn't cleaned, it's not the end of the world. Even in the bigger situations, if you trusted them to make some equipment and it failed, it's okay. It's okay. People will be okay. All right. So trust staff to deliver results, give them the room to fail, and you will watch their autonomy take root and grow. Okay. Set clear expectations and goals. You guys probably hear me hammer this a lot, but I'm sorry. It's just super important that we do this. Okay. And I mentioned SMART goals last time, and I actually wrote them out this time so you guys would know what it is. So first off, establish well-defined objectives and performance metrics. What is the goal? How do we get there? And what does that look like exactly of how we get there? What does doing it really well look like? What does doing it poorly look like? Define that. That's performance metrics, right? We on our scorecard, you guys will notice the first one that always comes to mind is parent engagement. Okay, so talking to parents, you'll notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A 1 is, hey, you communicated to 0 to 1 parent a week. Okay, extremely measurable. Okay. A 5 is 7 to 8 parents a week, okay, and then it kind of scales between those two, right? So it's a threshold, not necessarily a threshold, but you guys get what I'm saying here. It's a field that they're working their way between. All right, so establish a well-defined objective, engaging and talking to the parent, and then performance metric of how many parents are you speaking to on a weekly basis, 1 or 8. There's the difference between doing well, doing great and doing poorly. Use SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, okay? So, and always put yourself through the process. If you are the person developing the goals, would you put yourself through all 5 of those? Do you think it's specific enough? Is it measurable enough? Is it achievable enough? Is it relevant enough? Is it time-bound, right? You could always make the argument, I think, for relevancy. A lot of people will stretch that definition much further than it needs to be. So I like to say, is it relevant enough? Meaning, is it as relevant as other things are to the overall well-being of the business? Regularly track and evaluate progress. We recommend doing quarterly evals, which is every 3 months, and then monthly one-on-ones, which is a great way to keep people on track. I hear some people doing annually. Guys, you have to remember, most of your coaches are 17, 25 to 30 years old. We'll say 17 to 30. But mainly 17 to 25. And for that subsection of your demographic, annual reviews might as well be every decade, right? Like, that's how far out it feels to them, okay? So that's why I recommend 3 months, because even 3 months feels like a lot of time, but it feels like just the right amount of time to where there's enough change, and it's frequent enough to get the good feedback. Align staff efforts with gym goals. When you are giving tasks, connect those tasks back to the overall mission of the gym, okay, of the program. If your staff don't understand how cleaning the bathrooms helps increase the revenue, right? That's a big goal, increased revenue. Cleaning bathrooms is a very kind of lower goal in a lot of people's minds, right? So it's like connect those two together. Why clean bathrooms increases revenue is a great way to get your team on board with how the little things add up to the big thing, okay? All right, let's move on. So our last one is promoting work-life balance and employee well-being. Encourage regular breaks and time off. Okay, if you feel like you can't give your people time off, you don't have enough staff, period. All right, if you feel like you can't give your people time off, you don't have enough staff. So get more staff, get more flex coaches in there so that your people who are burnt out can take the time off. Okay, if you need help with that, guess what? We just released a program called Staff Scaling Secrets on how to do that exactly. Okay, so encourage regular breaks and time off. Make this a part of your culture when, like, I would tell our coaches, if I don't think you're at 100%, I'm going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, I think you need to take a day off. Because I want my expectations, my coaches, to be at 100%, and when they're not, I'm trying to do what I can as a leader to get them back to 100% so that I'm removing all the excuses, right? So if they come in and like, oh yeah, I'm just tired, I need a day off, be like, well, we did that, okay? We provided that, and now you're not at 100%, so what's the deal, right? What are we missing? Offer flexible scheduling and remote work options. Okay, this is when that is available. I understand, you know, you might, I've had a conversation with a person in the group today, Sarah. Offer flexible scheduling. That means like flex coaches are literally called flex coaches for this reason, that they can come in and cover for days when like, hey, maybe I want to take Friday off because I just want to go be in the mountains, right? Or something like that, right? It's okay for your staff to do that provided they're not making it a habit of just disappearing for no reason. Offer flexible scheduling. If they want to take the day off, say, hey, as long as you got the flex coach to cover it, you're good, okay? And remote work options. Your head coach and your program director can do a lot of tasks from home. Let them do that, okay? As long as the objective is being met, you don't need to go in and track their time and see what they're doing every minute. As long as the objective is being met, you don't need to be watching over their shoulder. They don't need to be at the facility, okay? Provided, you have the needs of the facility being met, okay? Provide resources for physical and mental health support. Again, this is like, look, if somebody's having a hard time, they're struggling with depression, any kind of thing like that, giving them the space and the recognition of like, yeah, we get it, you're depressed, you need some time, we got it, we're going to give you that, right? Giving them that support and recognizing the space that they need goes a long way. All right, resources for physical, same thing, right? If they're hurt, give them the room to heal. Prioritize employee satisfaction and well-being, okay? This is where you have to come into it with a servant-based leadership approach, okay? Meaning you are there to service your staff, right? And they are there to service the needs of the business. Now, you as the owner start out by servicing the needs of the business, but if your staff, you are entrusting them to come on board and take over that responsibility, okay? So once your staff take over that responsibility of servicing the needs of the business, you step back as a leader and say, okay, no, I am no longer servicing the needs of the business. I am now servicing the needs of the staff because they're servicing the needs of the business, okay? So that's what your job it's funny, it's like people think of it as moving up the chain. I think of it as moving down the chain, right? You're moving down the chain from, okay, I went from being the coach and the person to do the sign up and the person to take the money to now I'm the person like making sure my staff are properly coaching, making sure my staff are properly there. So it's funny because instead of moving up the chain, you actually move down the chain in terms of solving the needs of your people as opposed to solving the needs of your business. Okay, cool. That is today's live, guys. I hope, as always, you found a ton of value in this live. If you did, comment in the comment section below what you found value in. And if you need help with your program, or maybe you want to open a program and you don't know how, okay, we are here for you, okay? Kids Program Solutions. We will post a link where you guys can schedule a strategy session with us where we sit down and do a free coaching call with you where I try to give value and determine if it's a good idea for us to work together or not. And if not, it's okay. Stay in the group. Continue to just get value. It's out there. We want people to take advantage of it, okay? So we're going to constantly, continually produce good stuff in this group for you guys. If you need help, schedule a strategy session with us below. Or you guys can check us out on Staff Scaling Secrets, which is a great program we just developed to kind of share a lot of the insights we've had from developing staff systems for kids programs. All right, so if either of those things sound like something you need help with, go ahead and hit us up in the comment section below. But in the meantime, every Thursday at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, we're going to do lives in this group. Be on the lookout next week for the post that talks about the upcoming really cool lives that we got planned out for the next month. As usual, gonna pull a Bugs Bunny on you guys. You guys have a great weekend. God bless. I hope your programs are crushing it. But if they're not, you guys have us here as a resource to help you with those things. So we'll see you guys next week on the next live. All right. Bye.